Little Miss Recap contains adult language and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where Tess is love blind.
That is a really good question. Not completely.
Yeah,
not completely.
Although all of these people are super fucking hot.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, and what I noticed with this Love is Blind UK is that I felt like there was more body diversity than we have here.
A little bit. Yeah. But guys, I'm Amye Archer, and I'm with Tess today from Psych Legal Pop.
Yes.
I got it right.
Yay, woo! Yay.
I got it right. What are you guys doing over on Psych Legal Pop? Tell everyone what your show is and what you're doing over there.
Sure. So it's myself and my sister. I'm a therapist. My sister is an attorney. So we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. So we have two free shows a week. We cover Sister Wives we're doing a rewind until the new season comes out. And then on Thursdays, we put out usually some kind of documentary. When Love is Blind US comes back, we'll do that one. Mm-hmm. But and we just talk about things through, our lenses of just doing this, both of us doing this work over 20 years.
And you're both Gen Xers, which I think is an important lens too.
Yes, we are both Gen Xers.
That does creep up, doesn't it? Quite a bit. Like, I find it creeps up in my coverage of these things.
Yeah. And I think just seeing, it was one thing when I was watching this Love is Blind, I was like, wow, men have come far, because I don't think that if there was a show when we were all in our 20s, we would never see men crying. We would never see that. So that's the part that is interesting about being a Gen Xer, is you kind of are constantly straddling these worlds of. You can see I talk a lot about this when I do talks. These two worlds.
Tess is the therapist, guys.
Yes,
just in case you didn't know.
So I do these talks about the multi-generational workplace, and it's becoming a real issue because we now have 5 generations in the workforce, except one is really old. So they're dropping off, but we have these 4 generations, and baby boomers have a very distinct way in terms of work. Gen Z has a very distinct way of work. And then we got millennials and us kind of like, and we're stuck in the middle, as we always are. Yeah. We're stuck in the middle and forgotten. But it's fine. We're just going to keep our heads down and work. But we had that mentality. So we talk a lot about that. We've been talking a lot about that on Patreon, just like parents just work, drive.
My mother's like that. I always say this. My mother is like, I'm going to keep my head down. Whatever my company says goes. She retired during COVID and left, I want to say 100 sick days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, take 3 weeks for COVID, quote unquote. What are you doing? She's like, well, I'm not sick, so why would I take sick time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No way. My daughters are like, do I have to work 3 days a week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why does my work put me on weekends? Don't they understand I'm a teenager? I have a life.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up with the, if you're sick, you're weak. If you don't kill it, you're a loser. And, and it's really refreshing to see just, even my niece, she's 21 now, and she's very much about her life. And it's like, good, go do all the crap.
I'm for it.
I'm like, she's traveling. I'm like, go. We're all like, my sister and I are like, go, be free. So
no, I agree 100%. Speaking of being a Gen Xer, my mouse broke this morning, guys, and it has thrown my whole world into a tailspin. I can't do it. It won't, you know what it won't do? It won't scroll. So I had to get an Instacart delivery and get the mouse sent to me, which I paid probably $50 for like a $20 mouse, but I didn't have time to go to the store and get it.
Yeah. So, when you need your stuff, you need your stuff. And that's the other thing about being a Gen Xer, is that we understand technology, but like if anything changes,
I need the mouse.
And if anything changes on my like screen, I'm like, oh, I'm not happy. Where's my calendar app again?
No, my kids are like, just use the trackpad. I'm like, what? No. I don't understand the trackpad.
No.
You can always, whenever you go to a conference, you can always spot a Gen Xer because they pull out the laptop and the wireless mouse. You're like, got you. All right. So let's talk about, let me get your overall impressions of Love is Blind UK versus Love is Blind.
Oh, okay. But I have a very important question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll give you my overall impressions first. So, it was one thing that bugged me off is they show too much in the preview.
They show a lot in the preview, and I purposely kind of breezed past it and didn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now that after we record, I'll be able to go back and really analyze that preview.
Yeah, it's just they were showing us like someone crying in a wedding dress. It's like, why are you showing us?
Maybe it's all aftermath though. You know how they do. Maybe they're Matt Sharping us.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I mean, so that really bugged me, but I think that for mostly it felt very similar to the US, like the same sort of dynamics, the same issues. It's very funny too, because when they talk about you're a Jersey girl, it's like, not
wrong
quite.
Jersey.
I understand where Manchester is in relationship to London, but or if you from Ireland, but it's just these towns and these names, so it's hard for us to understand like what does that mean to be
I paid zero attention to that because it means nothing to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. I do really enjoy the job titles, I will say. So
I do too.
Was it God, it was
Safeguarding and Attendance Manager.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that just is that just quality control? QC?
I have no idea what that is.
Going around taking everyone's attendance all the time and like in a company is like, oh, Bob's here.
And
okay, great.
I cannot tell you the amount of people in marketing. Marketing is a big.
Yeah. Because that's like a catch-all kind of thing. I mean, it's just weird. But
we also had I feel like this batch of people were older.
Which I appreciate.
I appreciated that.
We did not. We did not have any 5-year-olds,
so
which is what we get in the US.
So I took the names and ages of the people we meet.
Okay.
So there may have been other people who were younger, but of the people we meet, Catherine and Nicole were the youngest and they were 29. And boy, you could tell they were the youngest.
Yeah.
Catherine with her, oh my God, we go to the gym twice a day. High five. So there's that. And then Nicole, who is me and I am her, with the bad picker who can't see through the bullshit artist.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that comes to my question, which is, Amy, are you attracted to Sam?
Not at all.
Okay, good. I was oh no.
But I am attracted to Benaya.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
That was another one too, where when I first saw him, I was like, I don't know, that long hair and I don't know.
I did too. I was like,
But once I got to know him, I was like, oh, he's cute. And I like him.
I like him a lot too.
Guy. And so that's good. See, your picker's better.
Would I have picked Sam? Yes. but when I see him physically, he's not my type at all.
Yeah.
But if we just had that wall and I couldn't see him, 100% I would.
You would have been the
wrong choice. Yes. Yeah. I would. That would have been me. I would have been the one in London crying the next day, like I've made a horrible mistake.
Okay. Okay.
I can't do this game. I can't do this. All right. So let's start with, we kind of will just go through the couples.
Yeah.
And
the triangles.
I'll kind of give an overview and then we could talk about our opinions of them.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Freddie and Catherine, and she had like a triangle with Ollie.
Yes.
Okay. So Freddie and Catherine go to the gym twice a day. How cute. Oh my God. Let's high five in the air. Freddie tells us his brother has Down syndrome, and she says, wow, I teach Down syndrome kids to swim. Like, what are the odds? I could teach your brother how to swim. Their grandparents, what a fucking coincidence. 4 English people named Bill and Mary.
Yeah, I also, when that came up, I was like, my grandmother's named Mary, and on the other side, my grandfather was William. Like,
it's like
that's
Amy,
not that rare.
It's like an Amy and a Jennifer in the 70s.
Yes. It's like,
yeah, of course. Freddie went to a medium 5 years ago, and she said his future wife, he will be married, and her name's going to start with C.
Interesting.
He says, if something happens to my parents, the person I'm with has to understand that I would have to care for my brother. She tells him she was adopted, and as she got older, she always wondered who she was, and she says it feels like a little bit of baggage, and that she's super emotional because of her adoption. So then we see her in the pod with Ollie. So Ollie's a boxer. She's a kickboxer. He says he dates with his eyes and has been told he has nonstop riz, which I have learned is charisma.
Yes, it is. Okay. I knew what that was.
Okay,
I'm
good
very
for
proud
you.
of myself. Yeah.
Okay, so the turning point for Ollie and Catherine comes when she's talking about going to clubs. Yes. And she says that she went to Cirque for her birthday. And he said, now I watch it with closed captioning. He said, quote, I go to those clubs all the time and they are mad pretentious. And then he kind of, the air shifts.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, and she's like, well, it was my birthday. And he's like, well, I have another connection. And now I'm wondering if we should just be friends. It gets real weird.
Yeah, that I thought that was very, I mean, I wish I knew what Cirque was, but I can kind of think about it and picture it. But you just said that you go to these clubs. Like you're there too.
So you heard him say that too?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I go to those clubs. I thought it was clubs like that.
Yes.
But it's like you are joining this. So
I wonder if it's, like a class issue, if he thinks maybe she's more hoity-toity, to coin a phrase, more hoity-toity than him. And he maybe can't keep up with that. Like if it made him a little nervous. But I will tell you that in the preview for the next batch of episodes, so at the end of this, we see that Freddie has a ton of money. Because he's talking about a prenup.
Yes,
he's in a house that looks like soap opera reference Alan Spalding. So, he's got money. Ollie, I don't know. I don't know what his situation is, but he was turned off by this remark. Yes. And she was, okay.
My theory of this is that I think Ollie went into this. I think, each person goes into this going, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't pick this person. I can't pick this person. Right. Yes. And I think that Ollie probably goes for a lot, has in the real outside of the pods, goes for women that go to these kind of pretentious clubs and the relationships haven't worked out. And so
maybe.
And I think that he just heard that and it was like, no, that's not what I need. I can't have this, and just ran.
Yeah, maybe that, or maybe like he just thinks she's going to be high maintenance and want to go to Cirque all the time.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think that, that was about him, not her. Like that. There's something that was very triggering, and that was enough.
Well, let me tell you something. I really like her because she learned in the quarters that Demi and Ollie had a connection, and she grew to really like Demi. So like she comes back in the pods later and she says to Ollie, look, I'm going to make this easy for you. Yeah. I'm not feeling it. You're not feeling it. I enjoyed meeting you. This was great. But somebody else kind of has my heart too. So let's break it off.
Yeah.
Freddie proposes in episode 3 and their reveal is amazing. I'll cover all the Grease stuff later at the end.
Okay.
Oh, I'm saying the word Grease again. Amanda's going to lose her mind. I talk about Grease,
what are you
the movie all the time. So we'll talk about that at the end. But their reveal is great. Like they're into each other.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. Did you see Freddie with the shirt off?
Yeah.
I mean, twice a day. That's what it takes.
This is what I'm saying. These people are all gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. But they look like a well-matched couple. The ages are good. She's 29. He's 32. He has this job that's kind of odd, but he's a funeral director, but I loved him at first. And at first I thought Catherine was going to break his heart.
I know, me too. I know, me too. Have you watched 6 Feet Under, right? When it was out?
Yeah.
So Nate was a funeral director too.
Yeah.
And we loved him. So,
yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
So now we get Ollie and Demi. So,
and I'm so nervous.
I'm nervous about Demi too.
I'm very nervous about Demi.
She's doing the self-sabotage.
Yes. I'm like, you're gonna bury yourself.
Yep. So Demi plays football on Sundays and she boxes too. And she says because of this, she friend zones herself with a lot of the guys. Like she comes off as one of the guys. They think they'd be very competitive. He says he gives this. This is probably what you're referring to, an example of what you're referring to with the men. Ollie says, I want to have kids, but I understand fertility is complicated. I was like, whoa. Like what 30-year-old dude is talking like this?
Yeah.
He's like, and family planning comes in all shapes and sizes. So, I'm not hanging my hat on that. She's like, wow, that's amazing. So she tells him pretty early on she's into him, and he's like, well, I'm entertaining other offers. It's like, wah, wah. But then it's his birthday, and she makes him a card, and she makes him a cake, and he's very touched, and she gives him a rose quartz. And then she confides in him a few dates later, and I think this is what bonded them, that she has endometriosis and that she may not be able to conceive, and she's afraid that she's not enough. And he says, you are more than enough, and this changes nothing. I'm like, go Ollie.
Ollie. Yeah, I thought Ollie was going to be a player, a little bit of like Clay of AD and Clay. But I was like, okay, Ollie is surprising me here, you know?
So he proposes. She accepts in episode 4. He sees her. She looks amazing. Their vibe. So their reveal, I wrote, it's good, but it's not great.
Yes. And I think this is more her than him because she is very self-conscious about her body, and I can understand if you're there with all these people that work out twice a day.
Yeah.
And I think that her body type is, you know what I mean? I think she's just someone who's never, like myself, never going to be tiny, just doesn't have just different kind of bone structure. But I felt like he really came out and was like, she's got the curves in all the right places.
Yeah,
like, I think he was like,
super hot.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I'm down. I like her, you know?
But I'm so over women, and I'm guilty of this.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking from my experience. I'm so over women acting like we are selling people a used car if we are 10 pounds overweight.
Yes.
Like, can we just stop? Can we just please stop with that?
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
And that's the thing. Like when I look at Ollie, I'm like, well, Ollie's nose is a little big, but he has not spent one day worrying about that nose of his.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's just a little bit of like, we give men such a long leash for whatever it is. And then, but again, we're taught from a very early age that we're broken so that they can sell us products our entire life and make us not pay attention to what we really should be paying attention to.
I have to tell you something amazing. So I am hopeful that this is changing, this diet culture in the newest generation, which I think it is.
Yeah.
I took my daughter to the doctor the other day, and when the doctor said to her, get on the scale, she turned her back and got on the scale.
Oh, good.
And I said to her, why'd you do that? And she said, because I don't want to know what I weigh. And I was like, mind blown, as somebody who for at least 40 years has weighed myself every fucking morning. It's like,
oh, wow.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like when I was really in the throes of diet culture, I weighed myself every morning, and that decided how my day would go.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a horrific way to live.
Yes.
And so eventually, like, I just had to get rid of my scale. I had to get rid of it because I couldn't trust myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to see her do that, I was like, so maybe we're getting better, but Demi,
yeah, no, I think, and I do think that this is one thing about our culture and the UK culture, which is they are more proper. They are more, they're older than us. So they're more proper. And I do wonder if she still to this day gets a lot of crap. Do you know what I mean? And I think one of the things she said was, I'm always been one of the boys, but the boys never picked me, and I think that
I was the same way too.
And I think that she is I think she's an awesome person who has been rejected for whatever reason. And, here she is, and she's like, oh, well, this guy's got to reject me too. And it's becoming a if you see the clips for the next couple episodes, it's becoming I'm just like, Demi, don't do this to yourself. Don't.
And I think, we live in a world now. I would never survive in the dating world right now. I just talked about this with Amanda in another episode because I
saw that.
Yeah. Like you can't, I'm not somebody who you're going to swipe right on. Is that what you do? Do you swipe left or right?
So right is yes and left is no. And I know all of this because of my clients.
Yes.
Because they're all telling
you're not out there swiping?
No, I got married before all of this stuff came about, but they're the ones that taught me. Like, this is how this works. This is how.
But it's like, I'm not, somebody like me is not going to do well on that. Why? Yeah. Why do I say that? Why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
Because that's what society has taught me.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
it's really fucked up.
Plus, you wanted to put yourself on Grindr. I saw that clip. Grindr. Like, no one's, Amy, no one's going to pick you on Grindr. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately.
And it's got nothing to do with you. as a person. It's got to do with your anatomy.
That's why she probably signed up for this, though. But it just goes to show, like, you can take away the appearance focus, but it's still in there.
Yes.
It's still in your brain. And I hope she's working through that.
And the other thing is that's why the reveals are always very telling is that you have to be attracted to the other person. You just do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how it is. And, so that's the whole Love is Blind. I think you can fall in love with someone that you haven't seen, but whether you're going to work is really based on, okay,
there's a certain level of chemistry that has to be there.
And then the chemistry has to be there. And then and then it's about like your values and blah, 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 blah.
Agree.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So Steven and Sabrina, these two seem great.
Yes.
Yep. So she tells us that her Gigi, her grandma, passed away last year, and she realized when she came home after all of those events to an empty house, she really wanted companionship and she wanted somebody to be there. She works in marketing, shocker.
Yep.
He owns a CrossFit gym, and she's like, "Oh, you're part of the cult." And he's like, "Oh, yeah." Steven is from a family of 4 brothers, and his parents were off and on, and they split when he was 16, and he did go to an all-boys school. So he's like, the fact that I can communicate and know my feelings is a miracle because I come from an all-man's world.
Yeah.
They both meditate. He does cold showers. They both do gratitude journals. Like, as a therapist, were you like into hearing all of this, or were you like, oh God?
No, I mean, I was into it, but the two of them acted like they're the only 2 people in the world that do this. And how odd that I'm meeting someone else who does a gratitude journal, or how odd I'm meeting someone else who meditates in the morning. It's like, a lot of people do this. This is really common. Yep. And that's one of the things is I think, and we'll see this with some other people later on, Sam, that, say a lot of these things. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is how, people put too much stock in, if I'm meditating, therefore I am a good person, or I'm a more thoughtful person. It's like, no.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. She's stunning, by the way. Stunning.
Yes.
Like, I think she might be the prettiest one. She is absolutely gorgeous. Very natural looking. Like, she's stunning.
Yeah.
He tells her
back tattoo.
Yes. He tells her he hasn't stopped. Oh, wait, I can't scroll down. Okay, there we go. He tells her he hasn't stopped thinking of her, and I'm a happy bunny. I'm a happy bunny. And he wears Speedos, which he calls budgie smugglers.
Yeah, you never heard that before?
Okay. Now, this is amazing. She wears her grandmother's ring. He has worn his grandfather's ring on every finger. This reminds me of my favorite poem, My Ringless Fingers on the Steering Wheel by Laura Boss. It is a very obscure poem. Everybody please Google it and find it. She tells her life story and the big life events that have happened to her through the rings on her fingers. And now she's an older woman and her fingers have no rings on them. It's interesting.
It's Laura Boss.
Laura Boss. My Ringless Fingers on the Steering Wheel. I read it when I was in college. And it like blew my mind. Anyway. I thought it was sweet. He's worn his grandfather's ring on every finger.
I mean, that's unusual. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's okay. I'm giving you that. Okay.
I'm into people who love their grandparents.
Yeah, of course. There was a lot of grandparent love and a lot of fathers that really are shitty.
a lot of
shitty dads.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Now they talk about their little hiccup comes in the form of they talk about children, and she says, well, if I didn't have children, I'd be fine with it. And he's like, wah, wah.
He was devastated when he heard that. That like blew his world.
So there has to be some kind of weird edit here, because then he comes back and they're like, we need to talk about this. Like, I don't feel good about how this ended, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. I want to be a dad. And she says, well, I don't have to have children, but if I do, like, I want our marriage to be solid first, but by then I might not be able to get pregnant, but I'd be open to surrogacy or adoption. And he's like, okay. So did they talk about, like, does she maybe not think she could have children? Like, did we miss that part?
I don't know. I got the feeling like the minute, it was weird. Like the minute she said, no, I don't think I need to have children, it's like the conversation ended.
Yeah. And then like, she's like, well, I'd be open to surrogacy or adoption. So like, that leads me to believe maybe she thinks she can't have children, which is fine. And maybe she doesn't want to reveal that.
Well, I think she's very anxious about the fact that, and I worked with enough clients that have been there where she's 35 now. And she's like, I don't want to get pregnant right now. I want to wait a few years. I want to make sure that you're the one, and this is going to work. And I might be 38, 39. I think I get the sense she's one of those people that's like, yeah, sure, we can try. If a baby comes, great. If a baby doesn't, let's just go. But it sounds like for him, and it sounds like he wants his own children, because I think that she probably would be like, hey, we could adopt a kid, maybe adopt an older kid, maybe do this, maybe do that. I think she's into these alternative.
He did say something about, I want a kid with my own.
Yes. So he did not want to adopt. So I think she was just like, this might not work.
Okay.
So
I buy that. I buy that. So we learned her dad pretty much his dad left. Yes, her dad left. Her dad left after her parents divorced when she was 13, and she found out that the guy that left wasn't her dad.
I know. I was
that mom had hooked up with some Italian.
Yes.
And that Italian did not want this kid. So she has a complicated patriarchal structure in her life. Let's put that way.
That story was insane, where it's like my parents got divorced when I was 13, and then my dad was never around, but I would keep trying with a relationship. And she said, okay, I'm going to wait and see what happens. Like devastated. I know. Devastated. I bet you anything she turned like 18, 19, went off to like she was just like, okay, I got to stop trying with this person. And then he never showed up again.
I mean, and then she found out he wasn't even her father.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So he tells us this story about a longtime girlfriend who had cancer, and she was fighting for her life, and he was with her through it all. And then one day she broke up with him and said, I really need to put all my attention and my focus on getting well, which this happens sometimes. And, I don't want to drag you through this or, whatever. For whatever reason, she needed to end the relationship. Fine. The weird thing about this for me is Sabrina goes, so how is she now? And he's like, don't know. I think she survived. Like, what? What? I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Facebook stalked this person to make sure they made it through.
I think he knows she's alive.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I guess I didn't pick up on that, because I got the sense that he was just kind of like, we're not together anymore. And, I just leave her alone.
Are you accusing me of making this more dramatic than it was? How dare you?
Oh.
All right. So he proposes at the end of episode 1. Like they are Lauren and Cameron. They are the couple.
Yes. Okay? That's the first, and the first couple that usually, and when that happens, because usually there's always a proposal in the first episode, they have a good high success rate. Here in the U.S., I think 4 of the 6 couples stay together, and that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good percentage.
It really is, and I think they just have fallen into that formula where they're like, there's no other options for these people. They clearly love each other. Let's just make them our first couple.
Yes.
So their reveal goes really well. He's so into her. Okay, now we're gonna come to Jasmine.
Okay, hold on. You're not going to talk about the proposal?
What about the proposal? I forget.
Oh, so he proposes to her, and then she goes into a long soliloquy.
I'm sorry.
And I was like, oh no, don't do this.
And they end the episode.
Yes. And then it comes back. That's how I got hooked yesterday, like watching. So I can't remember exactly what she said, but she goes into this long thing about meeting each other. I thought
it was like saying no. I thought she was saying no.
It was this whole breakup thing. And then she says, yes. And he's like, oh God.
And then when he sees her on the red carpet at the reveal, he's like, please, let's just do this the right way. Like short answer.
just say so. She's like, I should have started with yes. It's like, yes, you should have.
Do you think she knew what she was doing?
I don't know. I always tend to be someone who just assumes that people aren't doing these sinister things underneath things. But
I'll be cynical enough for both of us.
Okay.
All right. So Jasmine has a connection with Bobby, but she also is connected with Sam.
Yes.
So I'm going to go through Sam and Jasmine a little bit first. This is kind of my.
I have a lot of feelings about Sam. Yes.
Sam tells us that he's had a nose job and he's been training for a year since he knew he was going to be on the show. Mm-hmm. He got a new skincare routine. The nose job was earlier. He got that earlier. he's an uncle. He really wants to have kids. He'll be a great father. I'm going to be a great father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She cares for people for a living. Is she a mental health nurse?
Yes, she is. And that's why I felt for her. She's a mental health nurse, which I don't know what that would be. If it would be like, I don't know what that would be in the UK, but my assumption would be like someone who works in the like a nurse that works in the psychiatric department.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like my girl's pediatrician even now has a mental health practitioner, but she's like a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And you go see her if you need, like the doctor prescribes the medicine, but you go talk about it with the mental health nurse. It's
nice.
Yeah,
that is nice. Very nice.
So, he asks her this question: do you like to stroke your boyfriends? And she's like, what? A little strokey stroke. He goes, a little bedtime strokey stroke. She's like, well, I like to kiss people. And he's like, I'm a great kisser.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you are, dude.
Yep.
He says, girls don't give me a chance because I'm so good looking.
Yes, it's such a problem.
And she's like,
such a problem.
She's
for him.
like, well, what are you doing that you're giving off fuckboy energy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you give off fuckboy energy? And he's like, oh, I don't think so. So the next date, she presses him a little bit. So we see her internal thought process. She does not like this guy. Her gut is screaming that this guy's not a good pick for her.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words. So the next day, she presses him on his statements and about how people are not giving him a chance. And this is something he repeats over and over, that people have not given him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, and I've dated somebody who was like, nobody gives me a chance. I'll never forget this guy saying this to me. Nobody ever gives me a chance to be their boyfriend. Yeah, because you're a raging alcoholic is what happened. So he's like, well, people don't get to know the inner me. So later she says that her gut is telling her that Sam is not the guy for her. And she keeps saying, like, I have a gut feeling that he's a good looking guy who gets what he wants.
Interesting.
So she says to him, your answers are great, but I have to ask you, are you just saying what I want to hear? And he gets mad.
Yeah.
And he's like, God, this is ridiculous. Should I have to be alone forever? What do I have to do here? Like, it's a little temper tantrum. So he finally says, what's the status with you? And she says, I'm going to be honest, it's a better fit with the other guy.
Yeah.
He leaves and he throws his cup.
Mm-hmm. First time we've ever seen this.
Ever seen it. He goes back to the quarters. He sobs. Then he's angry.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, I've narrowed it down to 2, but, beggars can't be choosers. Okay. All right. So before we really get into him, because we're going to talk about him with Nicole, let's go over Jasmine and Bobby real quick and get them out of the way. Okay. Yeah. So Bobby says he's a bit of a nomad. That's another thing we've seen. A lot of them don't live in one place for very long. They float around.
Yeah, and that's technology. Technology has made it so that you don't have to be in one place like how we had to be chained to our desks.
This is something I talked about a lot during COVID. This was the promise of technology. We were promised when we got on board with technology taking over our lives that it would allow more freedom and more, more advancement. You could have more options. And then suddenly all these companies were like, no, we want you in the office 8 hours a day. Like, it was weird. It was weird. So he lived in Mexico for 6 months last year. He's a luxury buyer on a cruise ship, but he's ready to give that cruise ship life up.
Yeah, that's an interesting job, a luxury buyer. Like, are you buying things for the cruise ship? Or are you helping people buy things? So you're on some nice cruise ships, because I've been on a lot of cruises in my life. There was never someone like that.
If I was in my 20s or 100%, I would get a job on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Like, it would be amazing. It would be amazing. So he's very close to his mom. He comes from a single parent family. He wants kids. She does too. His father left him, and he says his older cousin took him under his wing. But while he was away on one of his cruise ship trips, his mother called and said, your cousin and his wife drowned in the sea, Tess. Holy shit. This is some Hemingway shit. What is happening?
I know. I mean, I was just like, another father story? And then the surrogate father's dead?
And he drowned in the sea. Like, how dramatic of a death. Jesus. So
oh my God.
he proposes in episode 2. They seem real into each other at the reveal.
Yes.
They're the ones who get down on their knees professing their
Yeah.
love for each other. Like, it is amazing.
Well, he's cute, but he's kind of a little goofy. And I think he was kind of nervous about that. And then he sees her and he's like, oh, crap.
She's a smoke
way
show.
out of my league. Uh-oh. But I think that's the thing is that in her, I understand it, like her being a mental health nurse, she really gets like she doesn't want that. She doesn't want a Sam. She doesn't want any of that. She's like, this person is like real with me and will love me.
Well, and she says that later. She says, like, he is not normally my type. I would go for somebody way more rough around the edges, you know, maybe tattooed up, da 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 da. And she's like, he's not my type, but I'm very attracted to him. And I always tell everybody, this happened with my husband and me. We were friends, and I was not attracted to him. And then something clicked. You know what I mean? Where I got to an age, or maybe I was just at a stage in my life where his gentleness and his sweetness and his friendship became very attractive to me.
Yes.
And it was like a fire. So I think that can happen. Where you're like, there's not an initial hotness, but it gets there.
Yes. But I feel like she fell in love with who he was, like the story. So when she saw him, he instantly became more attractive.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about Sam, Nicole, and Benaya and this whole fucking nightmare.
And Nicole, what? Who hurt you, Nicole? Who? Like, what happened?
You got a bad picker, girl. You can't go in these pods alone. You needed somebody with you. What are you doing?
Well, and she had been married before, and she's 29. She'd been married before, which means that she got married young and divorced quickly, and she kept bringing that in. And so I wish we got more information about what happened in that first relationship, because I think that if we know what happens in that first relationship, we can understand a little bit more about what's happening now. Because I never in a million years
I would venture she picked the wrong guy, like a Sam. And it didn't work out, and here she is repeating it.
Yes. Yes, but she stopped herself before Grease, so that's good. Yeah.
So Nicole and Sam in the pods. Sam tells the camera, people think I can get any girl I want, but I can't. He says, to Nicole now, if you saw me, you might be impressed. He is such a fucking douchebag. I need you to...
Oh, I know exactly what he is.
I don't know what is going on here.
Well, this isn't in the DSM, but I will tell you now, it was interesting. I was like, okay, he's a narcissist, but I was like, he is, I believe, I'm not a narcissist expert, but he is what they call a covert narcissist. So he does a lot of things behind the scenes, like throwing the glass down, like that tantrum moment. That's not anything anyone's going to see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So behind closed doors, he is, and with their partner, he is awful. And a baby, but out in the world, he presents himself as, I'm a spiritual person. I'm this kind of person. I'm that kind of person. But like what Jasmine was picking up, nothing ever matches. They talk about how all of these things, but behind closed doors, they are, they're a mess, and they are victims. They're always victims.
Yes.
Always.
We see that with him. Yes.
And everything that comes out is, if it doesn't swing his way, he's a victim, and it's never his fault. It's someone else's fault.
Oh my God. I feel like you
narcissism.
Just described like half of my ex-boyfriends. I'm sitting over here like, oh my God. Okay. So she asks, what will your life look like? Say you're 90 and you're looking back. He's like, well, my life would be a romance book, and it would be the greatest love story ever told. Okay. He also does a lot of love bombing, which is part of that, right?
Yes.
So she tells the camera she was married before, and something, she's just not sure of his intentions. Her body is screaming.
Yeah.
This is not the guy.
She picks up on this very early, which is why all of this surprised me.
So now we see her with Benaya, who I'm into.
Yes.
I'm into this guy. He says he's homeless because he works freelance and he stays where the work is. That's not homeless, dude. That's you're like homeless, unhomed is like you're on the street.
Yes.
This just means you don't have a permanent address. You're a nomad.
Yeah.
She wants to live off the grid. She's environmentally conscious. He loves this.
Yes.
He also wants to live off the grid. By the way, we're covering Love Off the Grid. Do you watch that?
Oh, no. How is it?
Oh, it's so good.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to check that out.
She is an outdoors person. She likes to garden. She likes to hike, sometimes naked. Gardening naked is not pleasant, I would feel like, because you're in a crouched position a lot. And that is not a flattering naked position.
No. It is not for anybody.
No. So he says he's been single since 2012. Ooh.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
So now we see Sam again, and he's been dumped by Jasmine. And essentially he is like, I'm going to love bomb the fuck out of Nicole now.
Yes.
Because this is a game that I can't lose.
Yes. And that was something else I was going to say, that he saw this as a game. And Benign had totally different viewpoints.
And he can't lose to a guy like Benaya.
Yeah.
Like, he can't lose to this dirty hippie. Like he's, So he actually says, now I'm going to focus all my energy on the other one.
God, this guy.
Now, at one point, okay, this is important. At one point, Sam goes back into the quarters after a date with Nicole, and he's freaked out. And the bros are like, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, well, we had this conversation about our possible reveal. And I said, I'm going to run to you and pick you up. And she said, you might not be able to. And she stopped herself. And he's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Is she dun, 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 fat? Oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, I need to beat the shit out of this douchebag with a pool stick.
He said this while wearing a bandana tied around his neck. Yeah. Like goddamn, Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Good callback there.
I mean, I'm just like, who told him this is cute, hot, interesting, edge of fashion? Nobody. I would be one thing if we saw this like, oh, that's kind of edgy. Like, nobody's doing this on the runways. Like, what are you doing?
Total fucking douchebag. And if anybody in London sees this motherfucker, run.
Yes.
Run the other way. So Benaya, this is interesting because Benaya overhears this. And he says to somebody, I forget who he's talking to. Maybe Steven? I forget.
I think Steven's his close buddy.
Yeah. But he's like, I'm super protective over Nicole and I need to warn her about this. And I don't like to be that guy. So you notice with Benaya, not only is he like, I need to tell Nicole this is happening, but he also hears the information, which God forbid she's fat. That doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So he says, he goes into the pod and he's like, I have to tell you this. I hate to be this guy. And this could go either way for him.
Yeah, and you could tell he had a really hard time with this. He did not want to tell her this, but he felt like he cared enough about her. Like, whether you're with me or not, I care enough about you to say, you need to see what's happening over here. Yeah.
100%. So he says, Sam is not here for genuine reasons, and I'm questioning his integrity, and I feel like he's here for fame, not love. He's feeling really torn and upset about having to tell her this, but he says, I wanted you to be able to make an informed decision. Benaya says suddenly now he wants to spend the future with Nicole. Like, he was a little gun shy before, but now and this could be two things: a little bit too late, too little too late.
Yeah.
But also maybe the thought, like maybe his instinct to protect her brought up in him like, wow, I guess I really am into this woman.
Yeah, I think that Benaya is very genuine, unlike Sam. And I think that he is very thoughtful about things. And he did mention at one point, he said, I had a very difficult childhood. We did not hear and go into that. So that means that it was a very difficult childhood.
Yeah.
And I think that he's someone who has been trying to figure himself out, trying to, being a nomad. Yeah. He's a landscape architect. Landscape gardener. So he's, he's very much about like going around and doing this work that he's doing. And I think that for him, I think that he just was, I think he had these feelings for her, but she was kind of putting him on the spot. And I think that he's the kind of person who needs to really think about something first, and then he can come and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So I think that for him, she kind of, and then he didn't know how to respond. And so he said like, I'm not ready, or I'm this or that. And then that's what kind of changed everything is that Nicole got into that space of, he's telling me, even though I'm having these weird feelings about Sam, he's telling me, I don't know if this is what I want from you. And so that,
and Sam keeps saying, trust me. I got this. We're good. Like love bombing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So she eventually, there is this small scene where Jasmine tells her
Yes.
that Sam was telling her the same exact things.
Yeah, and I thought that would be the nail in his coffin
Me
for her.
too.
I really did, because I thought, okay, you're not hearing it from this person who wants to be with you. You're not this is a woman who, and she's already engaged, I think, by this point, right?
Yeah.
She has no motive or drive to tell you something bad.
Correct.
So,
yep.
And she's a mental health nurse. So listen to her. Listen to her, Nicole.
Listen to her. So she eventually chooses Sam because he love bombs the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
And he says, no one has ever loved me. I just need somebody to love me. And she says, I love you. And then he goes, I think I love you too. I think I love you too. And her face immediately changes. She breaks up with Benaya. Now, I am always somebody, and I say this in every reality show that we cover, I always pay attention to how the other contestants treat people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They don't like Sam. And to me, that's telling. Like when Sam walks in, tells them he's engaged, everybody's like,
yeah, great, Sam.
Great.
Yeah.
But when Benaya comes in, they are heartbroken for him.
Yes.
So that tells me that they like him and they don't like Sam. And that's a red flag for me.
Yes. Yes. And
I always pay really close attention to that shit.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, I don't know if you're going to get to this part, which is after he comes in and he's devastated and upset, Sam is talking about Nicole, like right over there, like no respect, no, like, you know what? I need to just, I give this guy space and I'm going to be over here. It's like, no, Benaya is getting too much attention. Benaya is the person now. No. It needs to be me. It needs to be me. It needs to be me.
And then Sam goes over to Benaya. And he's like, oh, you know, there's nobody else I would rather have been matched up against.
Yes.
No, this is not
like, this is not the Oscars. It's not the Oscars where you go, oh, I'm so proud to be part of the nominees. It's like, what are you talking about? And I think that, yeah. And yeah, I mean, oh God.
So, Nicole. All right. The reveal is super weird.
God, that reveal.
I think her mind, everybody else seems to, like, the chatter online seems to be that her mind changed at the reveal. I think her mind changed when she said, I love you. And he said, I think I love you too.
Yeah. And I think that she had, you know, and I don't know if the show set it up this way, but we saw for the first time, both of them, these like sliding doors, right? Both of them go into the pods and it's this choice, like, which one am I going to go into? Which one am I going to go into? And, you know, I think that she really felt this pressure to make a decision about what was happening. And I think that if she had a bit more time, you know, or another day or two. And I get the sense that we were down to the wire or something, like you know, like maybe this is the last day of the pods, and she had to make this decision, you know? And so I think she just lost her mind. Well, and I think it was then, that I'm with you on that she felt pressured, just picked what felt comfortable to her and went with that. But I think the minute I think she regretted it the minute she walked in.
Right, because like, he proposed very impetuously too, right? Like he was just like, oh my God, yeah. So I think I'm going to do this now. And it was very frenetic. And she probably picked up on that. Also, she is probably somebody, and this happens to me a lot, like when somebody's gaslighting me or love bombing me, I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't happened often to me in my life. So I'm kind of like just frozen. I don't understand it. I think he was love bombing her and she literally didn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like not smarter, but like more experienced people would have been like, you know what, you're fucking love bombing me. Like I see right through that. And I feel like that's what Jasmine saw.
Yes.
Through.
Jasmine saw that pretty quickly.
Yes. But if you're somebody who doesn't have that kind of experience, and we don't know how long she was married, we don't know how long she was in that relationship. I was dating my ex-husband when I was 17. I wasn't single again until I was 25. So like I missed a whole chunk of development there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like when somebody's pulling shit like that on me, I'm like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happened to her. And she got caught up in the moment. And then she realized, I think I did the wrong thing.
Because it was pretty quickly that I think that she knew that in that moment. and this is why, because I think she mentally was already so by the time of the reveal. The reveal happens. She's like, this feels really uncomfortable. I got to get out.
Yes.
So
yes, I agree. So in the reveal,
yeah, I was like, can we talk about this reveal?
Yeah. So he's like, what do you think of me? What do you think of me? He tells the camera, I don't care what anyone else thinks about her. I think she's beautiful. She is gorgeous.
Yeah. What are you
talking about?
I wondered, this is one of the things that I wondered, if he knew she was Black.
Oh.
I mean, not to bring racism into Love is Blind bring it down, but I do wonder if, and again, that's an attraction thing too. I mean, like people are attracted to, no.
I'm like,
okay.
I'm thinking,
I thought I offended you. But, people are attracted to general like blondes versus brunettes or brunettes or redheads or whatever that is. Like, I think, and
maybe he's never dated outside his race.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if he's ever dated outside of his race, and if he has, he has zero awareness about like how her life is, like the microaggressions.
No, he's not going to be
in her life.
He's not going to be the kind of guy who supports her through any of that bullshit.
Oh no,
it's all about him.
Yeah,
that's an interesting take. I didn't even think of that, and you're right. I should have. So he's doing this thing again, like, you trust me, right? You trust me. I got this. I'll take care of it. It'll be great. Puts the ring on the wrong hand. She doesn't even notice, or he doesn't even notice. Now she says later, I put the ring on the wrong hand and he didn't notice. Of course he didn't, because it's not about him.
Yeah.
He only notices what is about him.
Yeah.
You could have taken that ring and eaten it, and he wouldn't have even noticed. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like wow.
Yeah.
So then he says, I'm just a boy who wants to love a girl.
Yes. Okay. And this is one thing I want to point out about Sam that I forgot to mention earlier. You decide to go on a show called Love is Blind. So you have time to prep. And he preps by working out
and watching Notting Hill.
And watching Notting Hill and working out and the skincare routine, right? So hold on a second. This whole thing is about you sort of not worrying about your appearance, like being who you are. So you would think, like, how would you prep for this? It's like, okay, well, I really need to sit down and think about what I want in life and who am I? And, maybe get out the gratitude journal, like those kinds of things. And I thought it was very telling that that's where his mind went instantly. I have to be the hottest one.
Yep.
So I have to make sure that that's what I'm going to do. And that's been the motivation from day one.
Yeah. And the motivation is, I just need somebody to see past my hotness.
Yeah. And it's
poor baby. So then he says, I just want you to believe in me. No one ever gives me a chance. Okay.
Again, victim.
So our last couple is Tom and Maria. So Tom also had something going with Natasha, who he calls Tosh.
Yes. Oh, wait, real quick with Sam.
Yes.
So when Nicole decides not to go to Greece, we then see a scene with Sam unpacking his stuff. And he, of course, his attitude is, well, I'm okay. It's for the best. I mean, it wasn't this.
It was strange.
It was very strange. I thought he would keep, I was like, oh, good. Now you can really be a victim. This is your favorite thing. So he wasn't really being a victim. I can't tell what's going on there.
Either.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just jump to that scene real quick to wrap them up. So we see her in London. So we see everybody else on the honeymoon.
Yes.
And they're there for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, we're not seeing Nicole and Sam. What's going on here? So we see her, real sad, rainy day in London, sitting on a bed, unpacking her suitcase, saying like, I'm not going to Greece. Something didn't feel right. Something's not right. I got the impression she called it off. Do you think that too?
Yes, okay. I do.
Good.
I 100% think she's the one that called it off. Listen, he wants more camera time. He wants more camera time. And I think that was the piece of what Benaya was trying to say to her is, I think he just wants to continue on the show. Like, he needs a match.
Yeah.
He has to have a match.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another problem with the show is that I don't think Nicole so much felt that, I need to match of that. But I do feel like there's a lot of pressure for them to match so that they can continue.
So do you feel like maybe Benaya dropped the ball and should have been more specific in his warning to her and said, look, here's what happened. He thought that you made a comment about being overweight. And he was freaked out about that, like needed coddling and comforting and was like crying in the corner. I'm just letting you know, this guy talks about women's bodies in a really bad way, yours included. Like, do you think he should have said that? Or do you think he was nervous that would hurt her feelings?
Yes, I do. I think he was trying to, in the most diplomatic way he could, say, he kind of said it like how I would say it to a client. You're trying to be very diplomatic. You're trying to hear them out, and you're trying. Yeah. It's like you're kind of going, okay, I hear you. I understand this is what you're seeing, but this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
and so you don't want to sit there and hammer things in. You just kind of like, let's start here. Let's start with this concept here.
Yes.
And maybe he should have spent more time getting into it, but I think he really felt guilty and weird to talk about it. And I can understand that. I wouldn't want to.
In a way, I could see her being like, well, maybe he's just saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like to throw me off of Sam. Yeah, it didn't come across that from like, at all to me. But you don't know. Like that might be going through her head. So if he was specific.
Yes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like I've shown these instances here. Yes. There's more evidence.
Yes.
I don't know. I can understand that, but I think again, that's that whole pressure and being in a weird environment where I just don't think people can make really good, rational choices for themselves.
Yeah.
Some can.
Yeah.
And some can't.
Yeah, I agree. So Tom is telling some dad jokes about coolest people in the hospital.
It took me a few minutes to get this. I was like, I don't understand these jokes. I don't know
if I understand it.
A cold something. I think, you know what it was? It was about being hip, like cool, like happening,
yes.
Okay.
Like, who's the coolest guy in the hospital? He says the ultrasound technician. So is ultrasound a way of saying somebody's cool?
I guess so. Maybe. I understood it once he said unhip or hip.
And then the second one, he goes, so who's the second coolest guy when that guy's not there? The hip replacement doctor.
Yeah.
He's a hip replacement. Got it. Yeah. But like maybe ultrasound we sound 107, but maybe ultrasound is a way to say somebody's cool. I don't know.
Maybe they do ultrasounds different over there and it's very cold. They put them in a cryo chamber.
So he had a dad who took off. He and his mom went on holiday. They came back. Dad was gone.
That, I think, of all the dad stories that we heard, I don't know.
Hers is pretty bad.
Sabrina's is bad. Sabrina's that's bad. Yeah, that's a bad one. Yeah. But this one, I felt like you moved and left. Like you didn't even bother to leave a note.
And he has abandonment issues from this. And I get that.
Oh, yeah.
Her dad had terminal cancer and went to Morocco to say goodbye to his family. But it was during COVID and they locked Morocco down and he died and she didn't get to see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
UK, what is happening over there to your fathers?
Yeah, I mean, well, her story, I felt like it sounded like she had a really good relationship with her dad. I think it was just really about it was this sad. Thing happened, like we couldn't say goodbye in this way.
It was like the people who drowned in the sea. Like it was just really dramatic and sad. Jesus. So Natasha tells the camera, now we're with Natasha, and she tells the camera she lost 5 stone, which is 70 pounds, a year and a half ago. And she feels like she lost her identity. And she's like, men really see me differently now. Now, she's somebody who I believe thinks that she is presenting hotter than she feels, right? And wants somebody to look past the hotness. Unlike Sam, who's like faking it and wants everybody to see his hotness. She's hot, but she's like, people just think I'm this dumb blonde. And they just think I'm this hot trophy wife. But I am so much more. So, I kind of went through this at periods of my time where I lost weight. Not that I was super hot, but it does change how people look at you, and that fucks with your mind.
Oh, yeah. I lost a lot of weight. I was heavy my whole childhood.
Yeah.
And then at 22, I, lost a ton of weight my last year of college and then more. And it did. And you do start to feel like I've always been myself. Like I've always been me. This has always been. So why are you're paying attention to me now?
Yes.
I see why.
She's really self-conscious about this. And I get that.
Yeah, and it takes some time. Like, she just lost the weight. So I spent a couple years kind of like, oh, what, like getting all this male attention and all of this stuff that was just, it becomes very overwhelming. And you do start to get bitter. You do start to get pissed off and bitter and about like F you people, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think that if she had come into this where she had lost that weight maybe 5 years earlier, I think she'd be in a different headspace. I think the headspace that she was in wasn't quite right. That's just my feeling.
Yes, I agree with you. She says, or Tom is okay. So Tom is very cute.
He is very cute. Despite the dad jokes, he's a cutie.
And he is he's the oldest guy there. He's 38 or 39.
He's 38, yeah.
Very into sexual compatibility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he says to Natasha at one point, like, I'm just not feeling it with you. I'm sorry. Like, we're kind of in a friend zone. So he breaks up with her. She's devastated. He proposes to Maria. Their reveal is nice, and she is fucking hot.
Yes.
All these people are hot.
Yeah, yeah. But also she is curvier. Yes. And so I was wondering, like, okay, how is Tom going to react to this? You know,
and he was into her.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. He's like Ollie, like, oh, she's got the curves in all the right places.
And
good.
The best was in their reveal. She gets red lipstick all over his face, and he proposes to her like that. It was a little chuckle. I had a little chuckle out of that. But their reveal was good. They're into each other.
Yeah. And I think that Maria gives off more of those vibes. I think Natasha was really struggling with this. Who am I now? And I think Maria has been someone who's like, this is me. Hello. Yep. You know, I've arrived.
Yep. So out of the pods, they're going to Greece. I just have a few tiny notes here.
Okay.
Here are our couples. Tom and Maria, Steven and Sabrina, Freddie and Catherine, Ollie and Demi, Sam and Nicole, Bobby and Jasmine. So we got 6 couples. Bobby and Jasmine, he's into her. They're in their private pool, just confirming their love for one another. And she tells the camera, like I said earlier, her typical type is tattoos, rough around the edges. But she said, he's hot to me and we're like magnets.
Yeah.
Freddie and Catherine, they're talking about how much they like one another. She says she's excited to meet Ollie. And Freddie's a little bit like, womp, womp.
Yeah, this is making me nervous about the Freddie thing. I'm like,
I know.
Do this to Freddie.
The next morning, she tells the camera, we had sex twice. And it was hot. Now, what is your take there? What is your take on, because, you know, I see this law Married at First Sight, which I covered, you know, for a couple of years. I think if you don't bang right away, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it right away. I mean, I think I would.
Out right away.
Especially if you're attracted to the person and you've been, you know, on these pods, you know, for so long, you know, wanting to meet them. But what I think is interesting versus the US is they're much more revealing about the sex part.
Oh yeah, like, they're much more open about it. We're very prudish here. We're very prudish.
Yeah, we've got our weird things, but we say it like the contestants have always said it in this weird way. This was very much like
we were intimate.
Yeah, like here they're like, yeah, we fucked twice. You know, I mean, it's
no on like, Married at First Sight. It's did you consummate the marriage?
Oh God. Yeah, but I think that you have to, if you don't necessarily have to have sex the first night, but you have to be fooling around. You have to be fooling around to the point where you're about to have sex and maybe
the P doesn't have to be in the V, but the P could be in the M, the F could be in the V, however you want to do it.
Yes.
I agree with you. So Ollie and Demi, now this is interesting. She says he's so hot and tells the camera he normally would not even look at me. And I just wrote, oh no. Oh no. And at one point, he says something about her not being fit, like not as an insult. It's like just, he said something like, it was an offhanded remark, like something like, oh, I knew I would love you even if you weren't fit or something like that. Like, I don't think he meant anything by it.
No, I really think it was a stupid comment, but I really don't think my husband makes a lot of these.
Yep. But like, she heard it. She heard it.
Yeah.
And he tells the camera he's really attracted to her. And I just wrote, can we please dispel the notion that we're selling someone a used car if a woman has a regular body? Please.
Yes. And this is the other thing too. She is fit. She is fit.
Gorgeous.
Yes. She is fit. She plays soccer. She's
athletic.
Yes. Thank you. She is a fit person.
Yeah. There was this meme or something I saw one time that was like, a woman weighing, say, 175 pounds, and they showed 4 different women. And they all look totally different.
Yes.
Their bodies all look totally different. Like, she might not love the number on her scale, but she is beautiful and fit and muscular and like that. We need to stop this. Throw out all scales. So, you know what? Instead of book burnings, we're going to have melt down the scales.
That's good. I like it.
They didn't bang. They're taking it slow. That makes me a little nervous.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think she's nervous about her body.
It. Yeah, Tom and Maria, they want to bang, but they're going to wait a few days. Steven and Sabrina, they've banged.
Yes.
And then we get the scene back in London now with Nicole wanting to meet Benaya. And does he show? And yes, he does. So coming up.
Yes. This is a Zach and Bliss situation.
Yes. So
and they are married, still together, and have a baby. So first Love Is Blind baby, I guess.
Yes.
So
yes, didn't they name it something weird?
Well, I don't know. Her name's, Bliss. I kept thinking, like, was her name Heaven? Is it this? I kept trying to remember, like,
Nirvana.
It's kind of like a, it's a name, but it's different,
Yeah. So coming up, Demi is spiraling over Catherine talking to Ollie. And
Catherine is the type that she would spiral over. Like, I feel like if
Demi's the type or Catherine's the type?
Demi
is the type.
Demi is the type to, I think that she sees Catherine and is like, yeah, Catherine's very beautiful, thin, blonde.
Yeah.
And I think that even makes it worse.
Yes.
I feel like if she was a little different than the typical what is beautiful.
And I think Catherine's real into Freddie. I don't think Demi has to worry about this.
I don't think so either. And Freddie with his shirt off. Freddie's a QT.
Yeah. And then at one point we see Ollie saying he wants to go home. So that's not good.
Yeah.
Tom and Natasha meet up. We don't know what really happens there. Benaya does show up and he says something like the right thing happened. So that could mean seeing me means something good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think these two, because this is one of the previews that we saw of Sam talking to Benaya, obviously post this whole show.
Oh, okay.
So, and saying something to him. So that's why I kind of knew ahead of time, like these two are going to have some sort of issue. And we see this. And that's why I thought she originally would pick Benaya and that Sam would come around to do what he does.
We see Freddie wanting a prenup.
Yes.
And we see Sam being an asshole and trying to sabotage things.
Yes.
By telling Benaya, like, she wanted to bang me when she came to my house. I don't know. We think he's telling Benaya. We don't know who he's telling this to.
Yeah.
So Sam's an asshole and Sam needs to go away.
But he's not, because he's good. He's unfortunately interesting television.
Unfortunately. So overall, I enjoyed talking about this. It's going to be a good season. I really do like it. Now, have you noticed, like, you and I are in a lot of these Facebook groups and social circles around reality TV. I have not seen a lot of people talking about this.
No, I haven't really been looking at all lately. But I have to go see what the interwebs are saying about the show. Apparently, I think I have to look and see on Netflix if it's doing well, if it's in their top 10 or not.
Oh,
but
that's a good,
that's always a good indication of like how much are people watching it or not. Yeah. But it's just as good as Love Is Blind.
It is. It's just as good. And I heard a lot of the other ones are really good too.
Yeah. So for the Love Is Blind Mexico, is it subtitled?
I'm assuming. Okay. I mean, I watch everything with subtitles. So,
me too.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's dubbed or subtitled. It's gotta be subtitled. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, if you haven't already, please check out Tess and Brooke over at Psych Legal Pop. They're doing Sister Wives. They're doing good documentaries. They got a Patreon going. Please support them.
Yes.
Check them out. A lot of our listeners do really love you guys. So keep on going over there. And you'll be back to talk about.
Yes, of course. Next week.
Okay. All right.
For the next 4.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.